Jeffrey Kolton has been involved with franchising since 1983 as one of America's foremost franchising attorneys. Jeff's handled legal matters for over 100 franchisors and is nationally known for his knowledge of franchise structures and law. First of all, Jeff, welcome and great to see you.
Great to see you.
So tell us about FranData.
FranData was started in 1989. I've been practicing law for about 5 years. Pulled a Woody Allen, decided I didn't want to be a member of any law firm that would have me as a partner. And I was researching how to grow the industry and what was needed. And what was really needed was research and information. And there was a dearth of information because it was all stored at 12 different states. So what FranData did is it went in and bought all the information about franchisors out of the public record and created the first centralized database of information. And from that, the company evolved over 12 years into the leading research company in the industry and supported the growth, because for the franchise industry to grow, it needed to be accepted by the business community and by the finance community. In order for that to happen, they needed case studies, they needed competitive and comparative analysis. And as we provided that information to Wall Street and to the finance companies, and they started getting more comfortable with franchising, more money and cheaper money came into the industry that helped fuel the growth.
So let's talk about technology and the franchise sector.
Well, technology has affected the entire US and world, global economy. FranData, we started out taking index cards, if you can imagine, 1989, and copying index cards over and inputting the data into CD-ROMs, and eventually online, and then eventually onto the web. So we started out really as a paper company in 1989, and by the time I sold in 2001, we were a fully integrated web company doing e-commerce, email blasts, online registration. So FranData was affected just because of the access to technology, but franchising in general, you'll see things like, how do you help franchisees attract attention in their marketplace? And the web really is the main technology that has affected franchising. Every single franchisor has a website, franchisees have websites, and now franchisees are using the web to promote their business.
Let's talk about some of the most significant developments that affect franchising.
I think there are two or three things. First, when franchising started, it was very misunderstood by the marketplace, by the economy in general, by rating agencies, by finance companies. As it has become accepted way of the economy, and as the trade association has collected information about the industry, there is now a growing acceptance and a knowledge that franchising is 40% of all U.S. economy. And with that, people have become comfortable with it, which means that developers are comfortable leasing space to franchise companies. Finance companies are comfortable providing money. And so the comfort level of the rest of the economy about franchising has really fueled the growth and given it lower cost of capital, better spaces, better personnel. People want to work within the franchise companies. People who would have, I don't want to work at a Burger King, I don't want to work at a fast food company. Now they'll see the opportunities, and some of these companies are 20,000 units, they're worldwide companies, they're best practices companies, it's attracting a much higher level of people. So just watching it grow from my first convention with 200 people to last year with 3,000 people, you've seen a maturation of the industry, which has really put franchising on the map.
So let's talk about your business, or the Jeffrey Kolton conglomerate, and the services that you offer your clients, such as Weblistic.
Well, I sold FranData in 2001 and went back and practiced law because I started as a lawyer and it kind of got my feet back in the market. And what I was seeing was there were some big gaps in the marketplace. And the gaps were how to help mature companies with alternative distribution and how to help vendors to the industry understand how to work with the franchise sector. Weblistic approached me about 2 years ago, and Weblistic was formed by the former heads of YellowPages.com and Yellow Book. And those two companies were sold in 2005 for about 1.6 billion. So these were smart guys, brought back the technology, and they said, we're servicing a lot of small businesses. Most small businesses, a large percentage of franchises. If we can use our technology to help small businesses get the word out locally online to attract customers, that's a great sweet spot right now because people don't use the yellow book anymore, the yellow pages. Bill Gates said that by 2010, no one under the age of 50 will use the yellow pages. So if people aren't using yellow pages, how do they find services? How do they find products? They're increasingly using the internet, and small businesses need to be there, and they don't have the sophistication or the money to do it on their own. So a company like Weblistic comes along and says, we can commoditize your presence. For a flat fee that works within your budget, we can get your message out onto the web, targeted locally to the customers you want to reach, and do for you what the yellow pages could not do. We can update your message on a daily basis. We can give you feedback what sites are working. So it's a really brilliant use of technology, and very exciting things are happening at Weblistic right now. We're partnering with some other companies who provide services to small business owners to provide a much more comprehensive suite of services and attracting the likes of the Microsofts, the Comcasts of the world, because they see that as we're capturing small business, which is a huge growing sector of this economy, that's something that will only grow over time, and they really can't develop what we've developed. We're too far ahead. We've got 10 years worth of history because of yellowpages.com. We've worked with 400,000 small businesses online already. It would take them years to catch up, and so it's a very exciting time to be working with Weblistic, and you should go to the website, weblistic.com, and see the kind of things that we're now doing.
What about the trends in franchising?
I'm not going to get win any fans with this comment, but I see a real correction coming. What most people who start franchise companies don't realize is you're running an entirely different business. You may have 5 really successful restaurants, but when you become a franchisor, you're running a different business, and people don't understand that, and the consulting firms and law firms have not helped them because they encourage them. And they don't tell them it's a different P&L, it's a different org chart, you're running a separate company. And I believe too many companies have jumped into franchising in the last 2 or 3 years. And they've jumped in without a large enough number of units, without testing themselves regionally. And I think there's going to be a fallout. And that a lot of these companies are going to go out of business. And that some of the ones who've gotten to a certain level and plateaued are going to get bought out by larger companies. So I see that there's been a huge growth in a number of franchise systems. I say in the next 2 years, that number is going to shrink. Less people are going to form franchise companies. A whole bunch are going to go out of business that shouldn't franchise in the first place, and there'll be a lot of consolidation in other industry sectors. So, that it's not a bad thing. It's just, everything has to correct. I think this industry will correct itself. But I still see the service sector is the biggest growth because this has become a service-based economy. It's a much lower cost to get in, much lower risk because of the lower initial investment, and the technology tools behind service companies have accelerated beyond what they have in the product companies.
If somebody wants to find out more about Jeffrey Kolton, how do they do that?
Just email me at Jeffrey Kolton, my name JEFFREY KOLTON at FMV, that's Franchise Market Ventures LLC.net.
Finally, how would you describe, in one word only, which is hard for a lawyer, how would you describe franchising?
Frenetic.
Jeffrey Kolton, thank you very much.